talking about men value youth, men value looks.
For long term.
Women...
For commitment.
That's what you're saying for long term.
Yeah.
Exactly. So if a woman is doing all these things to make her look more youthful, to alter her looks, then that doesn't necessarily mean that you can do that at 35. You can go get a BBL at 35 and you can look like you're 20 at 35.
Men can see the difference. Like your forehead doesn't move when you get a bunch of Botox. Like it's like they're not blind. Well, it might work out with an Instagram filter, but even Kim Kardashian looks weird as hell now when she talks like this.
And your eggs are going to be old.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, why would you... say you're 35 and I can see that you've had work done and you look great. Why do I not want the 25-year-old that hasn't had work done? And it's just...
Again, I feel like...
No, I'm just saying, why? Yeah, why? Why wouldn't I go for her? Why would I go... What's the difference?
No offense, but again, that's you.
Why would anybody then? Not me.
Wait, hold on. Another guy. Ish, what do you think?
Most men would go for the youthful girl.
Why?
Because we understand that by the time you're 35, there's questions that need to be answered as to why you haven't got a man. What did each man see in you that passed up? A girl that is young, beautiful, and like great for a relationship should get scooped up straight away. But by at least 26, 25. Like that would happen. The moment like you're teetering on 30, 35, there's questions that have to be asked. Like what's wrong with this girl that these guys have gone, nah, I'll pass. Or she hasn't been able to stay in a committed relationship.
Again, I feel like women nowadays, like a lot of what is being said is like men have the power in terms of picking and choosing and leaving the relationship. But
yes, and just to interrupt you, sorry, women give access to sex and men give access to relationships. So the power dynamic, each person has their own. It's not as if like we've got all the power. No, you give access to who you allow to have sex with, and we give access to the relationship side. So in terms of marriage, us putting a ring on you is saying we are committed to you.
I agree. I do agree with what you're saying in terms of access, but a woman can decide to leave a relationship as well. I feel like that's what's being ignored.
No, that's it's not being ignored because we agree with you. You have the power to leave a relationship. That's detrimental to us.
Yeah, that shows a lack of loyalty. So if you have a history of leaving relationship after relationship after relationship, the guy's gonna think, oh well, if I wife her, she's gonna leave me too. If she left the last 3 guys.
But what was the reason? Because I feel like a lot of things are being ignored. For instance, one thing you said earlier was we should marry early, and like you made it seem as if it's all beneficial for a woman in a marriage. But what about things like domestic abuse? So you're now in a marriage with someone who they might not have been like that. They might not have been violent at 21, but things happen. Life happens. They might become violent, and at 24 they're now violent, but you're tied down with this person in a marriage.
Why is that where your mind goes when that's an exception? It's not the rule. Like, because here's the thing. And most abusive relationships are mutually abusive. So the woman's hitting the man and the man's hitting the woman. And one-sided abuse, actually, women do more than men do. So women hit where it's not retaliated more than men do.
Okay, would you say though that in terms of domestic abuse, would you say that that's something that would happen in a marriage with an older couple, let's say a couple that married when they were both in their 40s, compared to a younger couple?
No, I would say that the men that are abusive, usually the woman sees that pretty early on and just ignores it and continues to do what she's going to do. So I think it actually says something about the woman too, because why are you picking men that are abusive?
I wouldn't say that you can just tell that somebody's abusive. I wouldn't say you can tell, like you're saying you're picking a man that's abusive, but I can't look at you and say you're not going to be abusive. Do you know what I mean?
But you can look at the red flags or flags that could go there and go, oh, I'll ignore it. Oh, he didn't mean that.
But if you're insisting on a woman should just find someone and settle as early as she can, then you're basically saying she should compromise with red flags that could potentially lead to a domestic abusive relationship.
No, I didn't say don't vet him. I think you should still vet a guy.
I think it takes years to vet someone.
No, you just go and ask your elders. Go and ask the men around you, what do you think of this guy? And have them have a conversation with him. Have them speak to him, vet him, and they'll give you the honest truth about them. And that way you don't have to even maybe meet his family. Like find out, like just ask the people, the elders around you, what do you think of this guy? And they'll give you genuine advice that will give you enough knowledge or information to say, I can pick this guy. Because usually they've seen things or they know things from just looking, having conversations that you may never ever see.
I disagree again, because the version of me that I show my friends to the version of me I show my mum is not the same. So you can't say, okay, you met different, the elders, the family, but they may not know this person the way he actually is. And that's one thing I would say is I'm not experienced in how domestic abuse relationships work. I can't say that I have experience with it or I know about it, but I don't think you can categorize all men that have those tendencies in the same way, in that their family would be able to tell, for instance.
So I have a question. What percentage of men do you think are abusive?
I don't know.
Do you think it's a high percentage?
Another thing is not everything is reported. That's
Right,
what you have to bear in mind. So you have to I feel like when it comes to relationships, you can't just go off like quantitative data. You have to take it with a pinch of salt, because relationships, it's a lot about experience.
Okay, so I'm asking you, what percent of men do you think are abusive?
I think reported is like it's a small percent.
Right, I'm not talking about reported. Like, what percent do you think are abusive?
I don't think that it would be a lot. Again, I think it depends on where we are in the world, and I feel like, again, where we are in terms of time is a unique time, and it's going to differ based on.
You can give it like plus or 10, like minus 10% ballpark. Because the point I'm trying to make is a lot of times as women, like, we go to the extremes of where something can go wrong. Okay. Well, when we're talking about getting married younger, and then we think of like the worst possible scenario that could possibly ever happen when it's not the rule.
Okay, I don't see what the advantages are to getting married earlier. Like, I don't, you would have to like show me what are the advantages of getting married earlier, because it's literally like it's kind of like, the way I see it is similar to having a child early, because now my whole life is tied to another person. That's how I see it. So it's not in terms of marriage, the concept is wrong. It's in terms of I'm young, I don't even know myself to the extent that I will know myself in a couple of years, and I'm literally tying myself to another person. For instance, with mothers, the mum you would be to your first child is not the same. The same parenting style you would have. Maybe let's say there's a 5-year age gap between your next child. You wouldn't be the same mum to your second child, because you've had completely different life experiences. You've learned a lot about yourself. So how you would deal with your relationship with that person would be different. That's my point, essentially.
So do you want to get the best possible partner that you can get? Like, in terms of like who you would marry and settle down with. So the point when we talk about getting married early, I'm not saying get married at 18, right? So I think there's some truth to that. Like 18 for me probably would be a little too young. But what I'm saying is you're going to have everything in life's a negotiation, right? So if you want to get the best deal you can, younger is better, because men prefer younger women that have lower body counts. And it's not fun. I don't enjoy that, like, I'm going to hit 30 and I'm going to be less valuable to a guy, but it's dishonest of me not to understand that fact. And so if you want to get the best quality partner you can get, it's just better to negotiate when you're younger.
Okay, I do get what you're saying in terms of that. But one thing you said is the value. I feel like that's where I disagree the most in terms of the way we see value, like what we term as a valuable woman or as a valuable man. In terms of value, like, personally for myself, I would say valuing a person. Like I wouldn't want someone that doesn't. You don't even know what you want in life. You don't know who you are, which I feel like the earlier 20s, that's a lot of what it is.
Well, that's a female lens, and it's why women don't pretend to date guys under 25. They tend to date guys 5 to 7 years older. So again, this is like you're seeing things from a female point of view. Like you want a guy with experience. You don't want a guy who doesn't want to have himself figured out. But a guy on the other hand, they want a girl that's going to get on their program.